Welcome to another episode of the 360 Salesforce Mastermind podcast. In this episode, we had Petar Rimac from Trawelt Consulting, Trawelt.com, and my co-host Avinash and I talked to Petar, and he gave some great insights on the travel industry, consulting, and the challenges and insights he has in that space. So, Avinash, what did you think were the key takeaways from the episode with Petar?
What struck the most to me was how he formed a company out of the industry knowledge that he gained at his previous company. I believe he worked for like Expedia and other players within the travel and hospitality industry. And it was interesting how he shared that he actually identified the problem while he was working on this implementation. And he took that idea and then, built a company out of it. You hear this happen a lot on the product side, but on the consulting side, it's typically someone is deciding like, okay, I'm ready to go on my own. But here in this case, he actually experienced the problem himself and then built this company. And that I think has helped Petar to like stay focused within that industry, like stick to a lane versus like just being generic. And he also like shared that they, in fact, sometimes say no to certain opportunities if it doesn't meet their criteria. And that was very bold and refreshing. But I think also as we hear more, it's becoming more of the norm with how the SI landscape is progressing.
Makes sense, or should be, right? I agree. And having that background knowledge with Expedia, travel and hospitality, one thing that resonated with me as well is that they're passionate about it. They enjoy working in that industry. They know about the industry. They want to serve that industry. And like what you're mentioning, they say no to projects right now that are outside of that industry and niche. But also that industry is getting hit with AI, technology challenges, legacy systems, those legacy challenges. But it's always a fork in the road for a founder like Petar to decide, hey, I can take on consulting projects and kind of keep doing this, or be niche and work with a industry I love to work with that I have knowledge in. Like you mentioned, saying no to those projects is tough. But on a also refreshing note, work-life balance, he talks about how his daily habits help him throughout the day, and that you don't work to live, you live to work. No, wait, the other way around. It's about still enjoying your life and having a passion for the industry. And one other thing is, I think they're really good at branding and aligning to the travel industry. If you look at their website, what they do, their branding is just fantastic. And that's one of the value adds that they give and differentiators that they have at Trawelt as well. Did you have anything else to add at this point, Avinash?
I think overall it was a great episode. It was a great conversation. Obviously, the name Trawelt was quite catchy. It's almost like, breeds travel and hospitality.
Absolutely. Well, let's dive in. Yes, and so Petar, Trawelt, I know we were talking about it a few seconds ago, but can you give some background on Trawelt and what you do and where the name came from for the company?
Yeah, sure, John. Trawelt is a boutique Salesforce consultancy company focused specifically on travel and hospitality industry. The name of the company comes from the two words. The first part of the word, travel, it's pretty simple to understand. And the second one is German word for the world, and it means wealth. So we are combining those two words into one name for the company, and therefore the Trawelt.
Awesome. Love unique names. That's really cool. So before we get into when you started your consultancy and kind of where you are now, what was your background before you got into the business space and the Salesforce space? Kind of where did you come from before that?
Yeah, sure. So I completed my universities in Zagreb in Croatia. My major was finance. I worked a couple of years for EI in auditing and due diligence. And following that, I moved to Germany and started to work for Expedia Group. And I spent many years with Expedia Group, over 8 years there. And we worked with many hotels, travel agencies in the regions and across the world. And basically, that was the first time I got exposed to the Salesforce and the power of the Salesforce, because we have been able to manage a lot of different points of the business within one platform. Following Expedia, I moved to another company US startup. And after that, I started my own company called Trawelt.
So at that stage, what inspired you or what made you think about launching your own consultancy? Like where was that, like, I guess, light bulb moment or thing that you had in you that made you want to start it and launch it?
Yeah, I would say like since I was a kid, I had really entrepreneurship spirit. This is not my first company that I have and that I own. I had a couple of the companies before as well. My first company that I started, I was still in university. It was a small company, but still the drive and the willingness to do something was there. The way we started this company was very intentionally. What I knew that I wanted to build something new, something where I can do things that I was not able to do before in the big companies, where I would be able to bring a lot of experience and specific perspectives that I have on the business and on the industry into the real market and into the real world. And the way it turned out to choose the Salesforce was two big things. The first one was our industry experience that we have from Expedia. As I said, we have been working with thousands of hotels, hotel chains, with many travel agencies, destination management companies, and we have been very, very deep into industry. So we know the challenges, we know the opportunities, we know the tech stack, and we know the gaps. In the Expedia, we used to work in the Salesforce, and we got exposed to the power of the Salesforce. So we immediately noticed that we are able to combine those two things together: very specific industry knowledge and very powerful technology. What we wanted to do, we wanted to bring that specific niche understanding of the industry and help the companies scale, grow efficiencies, etc.
So, Peter, what compelled you to take down that part? And the reason I ask this question is like typically when someone's starting a Salesforce consultancy, they would take on essentially any Salesforce work, like, be it Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, direct clients, subcontracting clients, because, they want to get the engine rolling. What compelled you to not to go down that path and take this path of like, we know what we know our industry really well, marrying what you know about the industry with the product that you have? Like what compel you to, because obviously you guys have not been around for like 20 years, you're not like an up mid-market company, so you started recently, but like from day zero you went down this path versus the conventional path which other SIs typically take.
Yeah. So Avinash, the way we thought about the industry and what we want to build with the company was to build something intentionally. So we really want to bring our intention to the market and take the route which is not generally available to others. For us, it would be the easiest part if we just go into market and start to work on the different subcontracting projects or work for as a body shop, things like that. But this was not something that we wanted to do. Like intentionally, we want to be the best boutique consultancy for travel and hospitality in the Salesforce ecosystem. We are small, but the value that we are able to bring to the market is very premium. It's not easy message to bring that into the market. I can tell you that there is a lot of competition worldwide as well, but there is still a lot of misunderstanding about how does the good implementation or good process-oriented workflow impacts the companies in the long term. I feel that based on our experience that we have so far, we're able to bridge that gap more efficiently and quicker than others would. So we knew that. This is why we decided, okay, let's try to focus on this niche industry. The second reason was travel and hospitality is a huge industry worldwide. It usually brings around 15% of the global GDP. 1 in 10 jobs are from the travel and hospitality. They are a huge driving force of the economy almost in any country. But still, there is so many opportunities to improve this industry as well. There is very little industries in the world where you will see so lack of investment in the technology as you would see in the travel hospitality. I didn't see any CRM as we speak because we are working with the Salesforce. CRM is only implemented in around 30% of the hotels globally. So the people working in the properties are still not able to serve their guests on the scale, to really personalize their approach to them, and to really offer them something unique, specific to their preferences, because they don't have the tools. We wanted to close that gap as well. And the third, when we analyzed the Salesforce ecosystem, we had very, very big companies working all clouds, all industries, all implementations, very little specialized companies back then, 3 years ago when we started. And we decided, okay, we want to take this industry immediately and we want to stick it. Maybe we will grow slower. Maybe it will be more difficult to get clients, but we want to get clients in the projects where we can truly bring the value, not just something where we will bring only the revenues to us. We really believe in delivering the values to the companies that we work with. Okay, so those were like the three main factors to decide and to work on this industry specifically.
So I know
That's amazing.
Yep, and because I've worked in telecom, healthcare, why is the percentage so low in the travel and hospitality industry of making the changes? Is it legacy systems that it's just too much complexity and they just are comfortable where they're at because it's still working, or why isn't that transformation happening for more travel and hospitality industry clients, and why are they staying where they're at for that 70% or whatever it is from your perspective?
Yeah, great question. And we think about that question a lot as well. And there are two main driving reasons for that. The first one is the old tech stack, and the second one is the talent or labor. So I will go deeper into both of them. The first one, the tech stack. Travel and hospitality was one of the first industries that got transformed in the late 90s, beginning of 2000. Many technology players that started back then in those years, they are still profitable, still operating, and many global brands are using them. They didn't evolve a lot around the technology, but as the business evolved of the companies using those tools, they became like super complex, very closed. The architecture is very old school. They don't have like open APIs. They're not able to integrate quickly and easily with others. They don't communicate with the different tools. So you have so many like point solutions in any single hotel, in any single travel agencies, not talking with each others. So technology, tech stack, it's super old. The second one, there is a lot of mentality around the point solution still. So I can give you an example. If you want to communicate with the guest in the hotel, you are able to choose between 50 different tools at least. But those 50 tools are not solving the same issues. One tool is doing something for the housekeeping. The second one is doing something for the room service. The third one is doing something for the F&B. But they are all like different tools, and they offer like something similar features to the people and employees to utilize them. So there is a lot of overlap in the futures. There is no platform solutions in the market that much. There are new entrants for the companies getting in the market, but it's still not there yet. So this is the first reason, I think the biggest reason. We see when we talk with the clients, they want to change. Okay, but the change, it's not easy. It's really transformational change because they need to rip out the foundational tool that they have and they implemented 20 plus years ago with the new modern tech stack. And usually they opt out not to do it until the very late phases when they are forced to do it. Usually then it's very, very difficult to do it. And the second one is talent. And the talent are like two sub reasons around the talent. The first one, turnover of the people working in this industry is super high. Like in the restaurants, it's 100% per year. It's ridiculous how many times people change their staff. In the hotels, is quite similar. Not that high, but also quite similar. So to bring the talent to work for this kind of the brands and to keep the talent within, it's difficult. It's very difficult. Also, when you see if you think about the young people going out of universities, finishing really good colleges, and when you see the surveys around average salaries per industry per role, more often than not, you will see travel and hospitality being usually at the bottom of those lists. Like financials are paying more, manufacturing is paying more, technology is paying more. Travel and hospitality is not paying a lot. So if you have like very aspiring, smart people who really want to do a lot, they are not super incentivized to join that industry. Some people who are extremely sharp, extremely smart, have really great education, they're super capable, they really like the industry. So they join the industry then. But the rest, they are not joining. Okay. And that's
Interesting.
also, yeah, a fraction there or friction in the market where the big brands are not capable to bring the best talent into their companies. And that talent they need to be able to drive the transformation and the projects and innovation that they're aiming to achieve.
And when I think back, right, like Expedia and those websites were like the first ones that people really started using back like 99, 2000. It's like you could book your travel finally online. So ironically, they were, I think, right, like the travel and hospitality and rental cars and stuff like that were one of the first websites that actually enabled us as travelers to book online. But yet, which is the ironic thing.
Yeah. I don't know if you knew, but Expedia was part of the Microsoft. So they built Expedia within the Microsoft and they spin it out, I think in 99, something like that. Yeah, but they were like very innovative in the beginning. They're still a very innovative company. They're doing a lot of investment in the technology, but it's very symptomatic as well because we're trying to follow a lot of good lessons that we learned within Expedia because we learned how to manage this industry on the scale using technology. And we want to bring part of that knowledge and experience that we gain in Expedia to other companies in the world because they're super profitable, super efficient. There are not a lot of companies that are able to move and invest at that scale so fast in this sector. And they're a technology business in the end. Same like Booking.com, Airbnb, they are built the whole ecosystem on technology. It's a bit different than big hotel chains or travel agencies, but there we have been able to see from the driving seat the power of the technology and how much positive impact it can create on the people, their lives, their work, and the environment as well.
That's awesome. And Avinash, I know you and I talk a lot about this as well, but it's interesting even listening to Peter, like the power of knowing your industry and the background and the current challenges. It's interesting listening to Peter on how much he knows about the industry and how that is so important to clients looking for SIs, et cetera, especially now in the current state of the ecosystem. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. In fact, I was going to like just go back to what Peter just said. Because you formed your vision primarily around solving the customer problems, like delivering value. You're almost like you doubled on like the adoption challenge that's like haunting the industry. I think this is something that will really resonate when with some of our listeners because when we talk to other founders, there's typically this hesitation around like am I leaving a lot of revenue, potential revenue on the table if I'm niching down? But I think based on what you just said, like even if you like pick a lane, as we all like to refer to, you're still talking at a time of like billions and billions of dollars. So there's still like a lot of revenue for grabs. It's just that you're maximizing your chances by taking this approach. Which brings to me my question, because the way I'm seeing it is like, you're not just like implementing stuff, you're creating opportunities for yourself where you can like even get into some of the strategy work, take on some of the strategy work because you're speaking your customers' language, you can talk their problems. How has this impacted, or if if it has any impact on your perception, like in front of your customers?
Yeah. I would just add to what you said now around like picking the lane. I totally agree with that. And we often say within our team, sometimes in business, it's more difficult to say no. And it's super important to say no to something and be very wise about what you're saying yes to. I think we really tried hard to say no to projects which would take us out of our route. And that's a good, very introduction to answer the questions that you asked me about perception with the clients. It's very good. Okay, of course it's very good because like I said, industry is super complex, technology, tech stack is complex, and you have a lot of different things you need to manage when you're working in hospitality. You have real estate, you have people, you have guests, you have incidents, you have power station, you have food, you have drinks, you have security. There's a lot of things you need to manage. If you think any other industry, usually apart from health industry, there is not so many fractional things you need to manage. If you go deeper and think about what the travel and hospitality industry is all about, it's all about the experience. Experience for your guest, experience for your traveler. That experience is something that your guest is going to take home with them. It's something that they will cherish and they will share with their friends, with their family, with their kids. And it's very, very important that you are able to create those experiences of the highest value for them. When you come in the room or join a call with the client or with the prospect, and you understand those different challenges, you understand the challenge with the talent that they have, you understand the challenge of the old tech stack they need to manage different points of view, and you are able to show them the value, how they can come out of it, show them the path forward, which can be a multi-year journey, but still very detailed path about specific steps, a fragmented approach. Like nothing needs to be done immediately, but they need to do strategic steps towards the end goal. They really appreciate that. You can immediately feel high level of trust, and you're able to build relationship with them very quickly because you don't need to get onboarded with the industry. You understand them, you really understand their challenges, and you're able to speak their language. Secondly, it brings you much faster and quicker and easier to the core problems, like core problems that they have and the key expectations they have around how the ideal status should look like, what we need to do to get there. So a lot of us is just like excluded from the conversations. You're able to jump very often, very quickly into high value conversations, which is then impacting them on the multiple fronts in having solution map up much quicker, having like implementation done quicker, rollouts done quicker, finally having the return on investment seen by the client quicker.
It does take a lot of self-belief to be able to do what you're doing. So kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
So, and to shift it a little bit back to like the business and Trawelt, I guess when you started landing your first clients like early on, like what surprised you in terms of like, hey, and I know you did a business before, but were there some surprises and things that you think about now when you were launching like in the first 6 to 12 months? Where looking back, you kind of almost laugh and it's like, man, I learned a lot at that stage. What was the whole like first 6 to 12 months like?
It was very demanding. I can say that. For us, the challenge was the following. We decided we want to do Salesforce in this industry. We had very little experience with actually doing the Salesforce. We knew how Salesforce should look like as the end customers. We knew some pitfalls around how to manage the teams to get to use the Salesforce, how to drive the adoption of the Salesforce. But everything before and in between, it was kind of like in the dark because we didn't have like Salesforce background. Okay, we are not developers. We have not been architects. We have not been Salesforce consultants.
Interesting.
So we decided strategically, we need to educate ourselves. So we started to educate ourselves like really from the ground up until the point where we have been able to hire people who have like much more experience than we do, who are solution engineers, senior developers, technical architects, etc., that are able to bring those many years of Salesforce experience into the mix, while we focus more on creating the business value and mapping the value to the stakeholders or the business process, or more frequently from our perspective to the customer journey or the traveler journey as it looks like. For me, the biggest finding in those first 6 to 12 months was that the technical skills are not the issue. even then. Like today with the AI, it's even less. But the challenge was around the soft skills. You really need to be able to understand your client, their problems, their challenges. What do they want to achieve? How do they want to achieve? And you need to have like a level of emotional intelligence to be able to sense what is actually happening with them. How is their team responding to the changes? What is the highest level management think about everything? You need to be able to read between the lines and understand that. So for me, the biggest finding was this is still the biggest value you're able to bring on the table as a consultant. It's still people business, and the technical skills, while important, have not been crucial back then because we have been in the situation where we have collaborated with other consultants, super experienced, very technical, strong, very. And sometimes they have been solving and developing problems which didn't need to be solved.
Yep. And it's, I know Avinash talk to partners all the time. And actually, typically people, when they launch agencies, come from the tech background and they don't understand what you've been talking about. And they think that the tech skills are critical, but you did the whole entrepreneur thing. I don't know what the phrase is again, jumping off a cliff and building a parachute on the way down, or building a plane mid-flight, whatever it is. I mean, that's awesome. I don't know, Avinash, is that kind of what you think as well? People typically come from the technical side and then they get shocked when they try to launch a true business and be an entrepreneur versus kind of Peter's path.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the common path, at least like within the Salesforce ecosystem, where someone's like super technical, they start as like independent contractor, they see the traction and they go build, which is absolutely fine. I think regardless of like whichever background you come with, like the approach that Peter you've been taking, which is like very industry focused, the customer focused. I think that's really vital, especially in this ecosystem. A slightly lighter question. I know, we've been talking like some serious stuff. Tell us your secret sauce around your website. Like, how did you get your website so right, so modern? Like, I'm sure, we'll
Awesome.
include the link in our show notes for people to go check. Your website is not common in this space. Like, SIs have certain templates, certain formats, certain look and feel. Like your website, I can almost say like it's an outlier. So just tell us your secret sauce. Like how did you get there?
It was a journey. It was a journey as well. When we started, we want to have like simple website just to be present online and showcase very easily what we're all about to the customers and to the clients from travel and hospitality perspective and also from the Salesforce. As we evolved and got deeper in the industry and Salesforce ecosystem, we established a lot of relationship with the account executives, with partner managers. We have clients in the US, in Switzerland, Ireland, etc. around the world. We really got familiar with the competition or other companies doing the similar things, from the very big global system integrators to the small and medium-sized agencies doing Salesforce. And looking at them, there are more or less everyone has very simple, straightforward template. Everything is about innovation, transformation, excellence.
We do this, we do this, we do this.
Exactly. Yeah, we do this, we have this, this is our methodology, this is our approach. We do discovery, we do scope of work, we have UITs.
Right.
And like everything is very similar. We wanted to have like totally different approach. We think that solutions that we're bringing to the companies are complex. We didn't want to speak technical language, we wanted to speak emotional one. We wanted to, in simple terms, explain to them what we are doing and how we are trying to help them capture the value. And we also wanted to be more recognizable in the ecosystem because also for the account executives, they are working with so many opportunities, so many leads. Like every one of the account executives have probably only 2 or 3 partners they are working with. But the partner managers, they most likely have dozens, hundreds of those partners. You need to be able to stand out somehow. Like we try to stand out with industry specialization. That's the one. And the second one, we want to stand out with our design. Okay. And the secret sauce also in that, because this is something that drives us to what we need to do. We have Steve Ponier in our team, who is brand consultant. So he's creating new brands, brand strategies for the new companies, for the new products, not only for the travel, but for other industries as well. And he helped us like to build that, because sometimes we're helping also travel and hospitality companies to create like end-to-end solutions where branding and what their brand is all about, like what is the purpose they exist, what is their why. We help them build that and then consolidate and implement the brand promises and the brand story into every single touch point with the customers and in the employees. We wanted to do the same for us, and we wanted to demonstrate that to the market. And finally, we had like really good design team that helped us to bring all those ideas into the life, to create very strong visuals and to create very strong website.
You're standing up for sure. Your website is probably the best website I've seen in a long time.
That's very cool to know. Thank you.
And we've known each other for a while. I consider you a very disciplined guy, I would call it. Back to the secret sauce, like what kind of daily habits do you have in running your business? Do you do things from a habit perspective every day? How do you stay focused? How do you keep driving things? Like what's working for you? That's kind of what I feel you have, is the discipline and the habits to drive this thing. I'm kind of curious about that side of things.
Yeah. Well, you need to stay, like you said, discipline. You need to stay focused. I think what helps me a lot is my background. I used to play water polo 25 years, and when you do play sports, you tend to get disciplined. You need to execute your task. You need to be very disciplined in how frequently you work out, what you eat. You have very tight schedule, and especially if you're doing university or working with that, you really get to know how to manage yourself, your time, and your priorities. I feel this is also helping me today. There is nothing like wild in my schedule that other people are talking about. I don't get up at 4 a.m. I don't do meditation, nothing like that.
Cold plunge.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I do cold plunge after the sauna, but this is not my secret sauce. It's just something that I enjoy, regardless of my business. What personally suits me sometimes is just like to do walks during the day, which sometimes is not usual for the people driving the business. But I feel for me, I need to get some quiet time to be able to really think and think deeply and not only on the surface. And I also do sports a couple of times per week as well. Those are the filters for me. I feel much better after that, spending like 2 hours on the swimming pool playing water polo or playing football on Friday evening. It just clears my mind, and a lot of things fell into different perspective where you are able to see much clearer the path in front of you.
There's no chance I'd be able to do. I can't do two things. It's like swim and ice skate. I used to play like football, like American football, like college football, sports in high school, all that kind of stuff. I don't know about you, Avinash, but like water polo is tough. But I can't
Yeah,
do that or ice skate.
I'm a heads down, get work done guy. Like I definitely don't believe in like 2 hour walks down the beach, making a kale smoothie for yourself, meditating for an hour before you realize you spent 5 hours doing nothing. Yeah,
Right.
that's not for me.
No,
But I know,
I need to get tired, and like I really need to suffer on the field or in the water. And when I'm like super tired and physically exhausted, then I go in some state in my mind where I'm like really deep into the stuff. And usually I'm
nice.
not able to get there if I'm not exhausted.
Mhm.
I don't know why. Too much energy, probably.
That reminds me of my kid. That's how I treat my kid. Like I burn him down on calories, so he goes to bed. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
But I know these days, like no podcast is complete without like talking about AI. So we are in this space where some of our job responsibilities, or job functions, are getting commoditized, especially like requirement gathering, coding, QA. There are like quite a few promising startups that are like coming up, which are essentially trying to commoditize the consulting work. So how are you guys like, keeping up with this? Like, are you making any changes? Are you adapting AI? It's curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the AI is impacting not only our industry, but the world very quickly. For me, the pace of the change is incredible. I'm really surprised that it's changing so quickly and dramatically. And the improvements that we see are drastic. It's not like incremental improvements, they're like proper improvements and proper increase in the power of those tools. So we have been using it since the beginning, basically. But the ways that we are able to use the AI today, it's helping us to drive business more efficiently, to be very honest. What I see from my perspective, I'm able to divide perspectives on how it's going to impact the consultancies or the agencies part. That's one. The second one, how is it going to impact the market or the industry? And the third one is the security. So for the agencies or the consultancies, the way I see it, you're really able to drive a lot of manual work quickly forward, which usually was not of the high value to the customers, but it really did take a lot of time to complete. You mentioned like statement to work, UITs, documentation, even the code, things like that. It's just like super much quicker and faster to do it today with the AI. I think the way that we use AI and the way the consultancies are utilizing is just going to change and improve and increase in the future. I don't see that reducing. Still, many people think that this is a threat. Yes, to some part of the works, it's a threat. This is for sure. But you still need to be able to bring the context of the problem you're solving. You really need to be able to deeply understand what is that you want to build and take it to the client, and not just like asking prompts which doesn't have any like deep sense or deep impact to the customers. From the market point of view or from the industry point of view, like big brands, they're able to jump on that train. They're able to utilize AIs. But what we also know, the other like big part is years away from that. Not because they didn't want it, but because their foundations are not set up to do that. AI to be functional on the enterprise level or the company level, to be able to, let's say, substitute part of the work from the people and do it by themselves, they need to have the data. I think the majority of the industry currently doesn't have the data sorted out properly. There is no like central data place where they're storing the data. The data is not getting pushed to the platform where they can produce something meaningful from that. And I think this is going to stay a challenge for the next couple of months or years, depending on how quickly the market is going to change. And the third one is the security. Okay, I think still people don't understand the consequences of using AI, to which extent and how. We have like LLMs which are available to everyone, from OpenAI, Claude, Perplexity, DeepSeek, etc. I think only more of them are going to come. What is happening to the data? Who is using those data? Are you sharing very sensitive information from the client to those LLMs or not? This is, I think, a big concern as well in the market currently, and I think it's also going to increase as well. That said,
Yep, and the misconception I guess out there, and I quote unquote debate with people on LinkedIn all the time, because they try to do something like pull up ChatGPT and say, "Hey, write this Apex class for me." It's like that's really not going to work. I mean, it's kind of going to work, but that's not really truly where things are at and going. I don't know, Avinash, if that's what you see as well, and what's your perspective on the AI side of where things are going, Avinash?
I definitely see our work getting commoditized, like Peter has just mentioned, like the busy work, for lack of a better term. But I think that's also would put someone like a Trawelt at an advantage because they're already focusing on the strategy piece, like customer problems. It's just going to free up their time so that they can focus more on the strategy side.
So I was talking to a good friend of mine in private equity yesterday, who just recently acquired an SI. Like the name is not out yet, but that's where the industry is heading. Like use AI to commoditize work, and that way, it'll just free up people's time so they can focus more on like the strategy, the process improvements. Because quite honestly, that's what like a good consultant is paid for. Like we are paid to solve problems. Sure, writing code is a means to solving the problem, but that's not the end goal. I'm glad you guys have already taken that right path in the right direction, or like focusing truly on like adoption and problems. I think like I can see AI can only like help you guys like deliver better, faster with more efficiency.
And just to shift gears a little bit as well, Peter, what does your current definition of success look like for where you're at? Like, where are you going? What do you have in your mind of end state or definition of success? Is it personal work-life balance? Is it money? Is it like what's your definition of success now, and what was it when you started out? Is it different than when you started out?
I think it's more or less the same. Part of the reason starting the journey was to be able to live up to my standards of life and my values. I think one of the biggest drivers for me are a mix of the things. First, I really like to take care of my people and my team. I really want to make them like successful and help them to have like meaningful work and meaningful life and perspective within the company. Secondly, I really enjoy working with them, and I think this is true blessing. Today, you're sometimes like in the previous companies, you were forced to spend a lot of your days with the people that were like awkward.
Yeah.
But today this is not the case. So I truly have like really great people. We enjoy spending the time together, and we truly have like really, really good atmosphere in the office. And then when you have like challenging times, it's also easier to go through them, as challenging times always comes. On the private side, I have like 3 kids and a wife. So of course, being able to manage properly my business life and my private life is very important. It wouldn't mean a lot to me if I would over-invest and overspend time on the business front, become like super or ridiculous success or ridiculously rich, and neglect my family and my kids. I think the real value and the wealth is not lying there. So having the ability to jump between those and then go into sprint mode when I need to do sprints, when there is a big opportunity rolling into the work, of course, I'm all in. Like I will travel wherever it needs to get to go. I will be on the first plane. I will work 9 day. That's not a problem. But to spend my life like that and just trying to rush to the next big thing, I don't think that's the path to the success. At least the not success as I'm seeing it, and for sure not the path to the joyful life.
And I think, hope I don't offend people I've worked with in the past when I was in corporate. I don't know, Avinash, if you, whatever you think about this as well. But when you're working with different people and people you like, don't like, all that kind of stuff, the most uncomfortable thing for me was always like when we'd go to lunch with a group of like 20 people and you'd have like this long table of everyone sitting uncomfortably, like all close together, like having lunch. It was actually one of the reasons I'm like, I need to do something on my own. I need to change this a little bit just because it was so weird. It's like forced commodity, whatever it is, commodity. I don't know if that's the right word. I'm just kind of forcing chemistry versus like what you're doing is like you naturally like working with these people, and it makes just running a business just that much better from like a work life and enjoying what you do. I don't know, Avinash, if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, in fact, this happened to us in London when we were like there running a workshop, and one person brought up a very uncomfortable, controversial topic in the middle of dinner after like obviously few drinks down, and he was directly addressing a person who is impacted by that conversation. So this person for the rest of the dinner had to like literally turn in a different direction so he doesn't face this person anymore. That was like really uncomfortable. Like, yes, it does happen.
Yeah, Avinash, I know from your perspective, some of the pricing models and structures, especially for like what Peter does with Trawelt and travel and hospitality, like what are your perspectives even on pricing models and solutions? I know we talk about instead of just hourly billing, but like solutions, outcome-based pricing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Peter and I, we already, we've had a conversation on this topic, so I can almost vouch for what he believes. It ultimately comes down to your approach, which is again, you're taking a very consultative approach, focusing on the problem areas. That just helps you define those KPIs better, get more involved in defining those business objectives. That's when you can play around with pricing a little bit more. You can leave more money on the table. Let's say, hey, we're going to roll out this outcome based pricing where we will get compensated contingent upon us meeting the milestones or like those KPIs, because you're getting involved so early in the process. You know the industry, so you can almost like steer your customers adoption in the right direction, so you get compensated more on the upside.
Yep. And Peter, to shift gears a little bit more again, like if someone's thinking about starting their own consultancy, what advice would you give them right now? Like if they were to launch today, like from what you've learned and what you do, what advice would you give someone starting out and launching a agency now?
For Salesforce or general one?
I would say both, especially in the Salesforce ecosystem. It has its own challenges, its own kind of landscape. I guess both, if you have two different views.
Yeah. I would say you really need to be clear with your business value proposition. What is your offering and to whom? You need to be very clear about your customer segments or ICPs. You need to have that very much defined. And you need to be able to understand how you're going to deliver the values to them. And that said, it's much easier to create a business model canvas from Strategizer and fill it out. It always looks beautiful. There is a completely different world where you need to execute on it. You need to be able to really drive the demand for your business. You need to be able to be successful in networking, partnering, selling, and do all these kind of tactics in between, where you almost have like mini industries there. Like go-to-market part is huge these days. Everyone is go-to-market engineers. You need to be able to know how you're going to bring business to your agencies. Word of mouth and recommendation, I don't think it's enough for you to be able to survive. You need to be able to understand how you're going to generate and create awareness, attraction, conversion, and finally the projects to your agencies. What I see from my surroundings, many people are not aware of that. It's very similar like what Avinash said before. They start as a contracting. Okay, look, I have more requests for the work. Let's hire one more guy. Okay, nice. And then the issue starts.
And I would say, especially in the Salesforce, tech skills don't matter, is the way I put it as well. I mean, it's good, but if you don't understand what you even just talked about, it's going to be a tough road.
It's a very tough road. And there are specific parts of the deals which are unavailable to you. Even though you're like very small, very niche, very specific, like those big players, they get their piece of the pie, and you're not able to get there. You need to work very, very hard, very strategically with the right people from the multiple companies to be able to get to the table, or at least to the conversation, to get a slice of that pie, which is very attractive, of course. So you need to be able to understand, like in the long term, everyone wants to get like enterprise business, big brands. It's not that straightforward, and the path is very long and very demanding.
This was awesome. And I know, Avinash, it was awesome with you today as well. I'm sure you might have a question or two for Peter as well, but I have one last one, and I'll throw it over to you if you have a one or two beforehand as well.
No, I think from my side, I'm good. This was like so insightful and quite honestly very refreshing to hear someone has taken it's the difficult route. I would say it's a difficult path. No, it's not easy to like say no, but I'm sure this will lead to much more fruitful outcomes for you. So from my side and like from our joint side, obviously we'll be on the sidelines like rooting for you. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you, Avinash.
Yep. And I guess I always finally wrap up with just one question. I know you've kind of talked about it, but where's Peter going in the next 5 years, especially the 3 to 5 years? What's Peter doing? What's your life look like? Where are you going?
Yeah. So in the next 2 months, we are going to create or publish 2 of our products. from the company. One is going to be B2C, nothing to do with the Salesforce world, but something that I was very passionate about, and I will share about it a bit later when the time is right. And the second product that we are building currently is going to be built on the Salesforce, and it's something about maintaining the proper data within the Salesforce, specifically and especially for the travel and hospitality industry, because we see opportunity there to help those companies re-engage with their old guests and bring direct bookings to them. For me personally, what I hope to achieve in the next 18 months, I really want to grow further the business in the US. We see a big demand there and a big opportunity. This is my focus. In 3 years, I think it's far away to say. What I'm hoping to achieve in the 3 years is maybe to start additional business as well.
I like it.
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur. You're just an entrepreneur at heart. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's so core for people and they're successful. And to be successful, you have to have that itch or that thing. And it's pretty clear you have it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I enjoy to going from 1 to 0. And then afterwards, when I need to repeat, I just want to start and build something.
Awesome. Well, it was awesome talking with you guys. Avinash, thanks for co-hosting today. Peter,
Pleasure.
that was great information, great advice, great learnings. It was fantastic. So thanks again, and talk to you later.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Avinash.
Thanks, Peter.
It was pleasure talking with you, and thanks for hosting.
Absolutely.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.